Hi, beautiful friends. My name is Jacqueline Rose, and I do not think it's a coincidence that you're here. I think you're meant to be here. So if this message resonates with you, please click like and subscribe to my channel. This channel is about everything spiritual and much, much more. So today I wanted to talk about the dark night of the soul. And I'm understanding now that not everybody knows what that means. Duh. And I kind of wanted to explain what the dark night of the soul was for me. I started this YouTube channel just to share my spiritual awakening journey, my self-realization journey. And this was a huge part in my self-realization journey. Was basically what the dark night of the soul means for me, from my own perspective, is when I realized that I hadn't been that nice of a person. I was real good at judging other people all the time in my past, and I wasn't really good at introspecting and looking at how I was not always that nice of a person, and I wanted to change that. I wanted to change how I showed up. And so what the dark night of the soul is when you start doing this self-inquiry work, you realize, or I realized, everything that I projected, everything that I judged other people for was an aspect in myself that I was blind to. Now, some people may not agree with this. I've had conversations where it's hard for people to let go of the ego and even know what the ego is, and realize that when we judge people, that's like the opportunity to see where you're blind to your own personality, right? And so I used that. I started to go, okay, I see myself judging this person, so there's an aspect in me that I'm not seeing. And one day I realized, and it was mostly with my son and my husband, even though I don't think they're always the nicest people to me. I mean, my son's 10, so he's just, developing. He has no clue what the fuck he's doing. But sometimes my husband wasn't always nice to me, and I would constantly blame, and I had to use all those situations where I would blame him for things and realize that I had done the same thing. I had made him feel this big, and I had projected my wants and needs and my selfish wants and needs onto him. I wanted him to do things for me because I felt like I wasn't capable of doing them for myself, and he always saw me as being negative towards him. And I realized that was because I projected a lot of my insecurities onto him. And so there was a big realization moment there. And also when I would judge my mother, because I had a lot of resentment towards my upbringing and some of the traumas I went through, that I had enough life behind me and enough life to look at and see where I had picking up traits from my mother, and I had actually done the same thing she did, which was a gift, because then I was able to forgive myself for some of the destructive behavior that I did, and understand that I was just doing the best I could, and then realize that my mother was in the same boat too. And she, generations by generations, passed down, unhealthy traits and traumas as well. But it was never her intent, and it was never my intent. And so that was really a dark night of the soul for me. And also looking back at a lot of relationships that I was in. I've been with my husband since I was 19, but prior to my husband, I had lots of boyfriends. I loved having boyfriends. I was an avid dater for sure. And I was kind of cruel to a lot of these people. So if any of those ex-boyfriends are on here and watching this, I want to say that I apologize if I have never actually said it. And I realized I would self-sabotage myself a lot. I would have good ex-boyfriends, good people, and I would not be so good to them. And I realized a lot of trauma that I passed down onto young men that I shouldn't have, but I didn't know any better. And that was really a moment of grace, knowing that I didn't know any better. And a lot of us don't know any better. A lot of us don't have the capability to self-reflect or to go inwards because we're not on that journey, right? Most of society is not on this journey, and that's okay. But that was the dark night of the soul. It was seeing all of the negative aspects about my personality, about my identity, and taking a really good look at my integrity and where my integrity lied, in the past and where I wanted it to transform in the future. And it was an amazing process for me because I had a moment of guilt and regret, but I also knew that I could always change. I could change my past by changing my now moment. And I could change my future by changing my now moment. And that really is what the dark night of the soul is. It's about noticing all of these aspects about yourself. And you have to become really, really, really radically responsible for your actions. I even talk to people today, and I'm not saying I'm a saint by any motherfucking means, because I am not. But I'll talk to people today and they're like, well, it's just easier to lie. And it's not always easier to lie. You know, I really stand in my integrity, and sometimes it's easier to lie in the moment, but it doesn't do anybody any good, right? Even if you're lying to save somebody's feelings. I've had some opportunities, I guess, where I could have lied recently and it would have made my life a little bit easier and they wouldn't have been big lies, but then I had to look at my integrity and who I wanted to show up as. And even if it would have been easier, it wasn't who I was. And that's just how this self-realization journey is. And I know sometimes I use these woo-woo words. I'm really trying to use words that most people understand, but what self-realization is really taking a really good look at yourself. All the good, all the negative, and looking at it and being okay with it and knowing that there are parts and aspects of your life that you did not know any better and you were just conditioned and you were coping and you were indoctrinated by beliefs because of society. But one day you open your eyes and you get to choose who you want to be in this moment and for future moments. And you can go, okay, I see how I was conditioned. I can see how I was educated to think this is what happiness is. And I can change everything now. I have control over myself and I have radical responsibility over myself and my future and even my past. Even though I didn't know how to do things differently, I had the opportunity and I didn't take them. And today I'm going to take the opportunity to show up different, to be the light. I hope this helps somebody. Much love.